Hello，大家好，好歡迎大家。咁咧，我上次咧就同大家分享過我自己點樣度磅啦。咁度磅裏邊會見到啲咩指數啊，有啲咩 information 咧可以幫到我自己 keep fit 或者保持一個比較健康嘅狀態啦。咁所以今次接落嚟咧，我就想同大家講下老化嘅問題啦。咁我哋想 keep fit 咧，其實都係想唔好老得咁快啫，係咪先？咁所以今次咧，其實我係好想同大家分享一條Discovery Channel 嘅片，係講關於人體基因老化嘅問題㗎。咁喺分享之前咧，我介紹下自己先啦。我叫 Virginia 小彤，咁我係2個小朋友嘅媽咪。咁前職咧就係做酒店嘅 Marketing Communications 啦，亦都係副刊嘅編輯，專係教大家係學玩樂啊、玩啊、扮靚啊咁樣樣。係啦，咁講翻啦，點解突然間會諗住拍一條咁樣樣嘅片呢？咁其實因為咁啱小女咧，聽日就踏入40歲，咁又再次咧諗翻呢個老化嘅問題。咁其實後生嘅時候咧，我呢啲貪靚精咧，不嬲都好驚老噶。咁所以老對我嚟講咧，就係驚唔靚啦，可能驚個樣會巢冧對啦，皮膚唔好啦咁。直至咧幾年前，我開始飛得好勁，因為工作關係，咁又要喺世界各地幫手開酒店啊、開會啊、做 training 啊咁，時差啊各樣嘢咧，同埋啲氣候變化得好趕，可能朝頭早係東南亞，跟住下晝就去咗個落雪嘅地方咁，所以令到我唔好講個皮膚差咗好多，其實咧個人咧個狀態係差咗好多咁。最明顯係咩咧？就身材開始走樣啦。咁你見而家都好返啲啦。咁之前咧，其實係無論我點樣 keep 住做運動都好啦，其實可能只能夠 keep 到唔好太差咯。你話可以唔可以去到好似生我女或者生我仔之前咧，真係好難啊咁。咁我諗好多媽媽都有呢個經驗啦，尤其是在職媽媽啦。咁你放工返屋企，你要返第二份工㗎嘛，你仲要照顧屋企人。咁其實好少時間我哋可以照顧到自己，呢個就係嗰個老化帶嚟嘅可怕之處。咁我會發覺自己開始體力下降得好緊要啦，即係做咩都好似做一陣就好攰啊，一日飲2杯咖啡都唔夠啊。仲有就係啲健康開始差啦，我自己比較明顯咧，就係可能工作壓力比較大，咁所以胃痛咧就胃痛得好緊要啦。可能逢每日半夜2、3點我就開始痛，肩頸啦，有陣時起身直頭成條脊椎緊咗啊，跟住又會出現氣管敏感，可能逢轉季1年起碼有4次咧，我啲氣管炎就會發作啦，睇醫生食好多抗生素啊，食好多特效藥啊，食到個人就更加弱，咁所以無論我自己點樣煲嘢飲啊成啊，好似 recover 唔到咁。咁所以咧，我又抄翻呢一條片出嚟睇翻，因為我覺得人體老化咧，已經對於我嚟講唔係一個表面會唔會靚嘅問題啊，係真係直接影響到我生活。咁所以我都好希望將呢條片分享俾大家咯，希望大家即係趁自己仲後生啦、未老之前啦，或者你開始已經出現呢啲老化徵象啦，譬如好似我有啲朋友佢哋已經未夠40歲有脂肪肝啊、三高啊、高血壓啊、膽固醇啊，我覺得呢啲我哋真係要正視咯。咁究竟正視嘅時候係咪話你食啲咩啊、做啲乜嘢嘢就得呢？我覺得更加要喺個根源裏邊去了解老化係一樣咩嘢。咁我 Discovery Channel 呢一條片係做得好好㗎，咁我就節錄咗10幾分鐘俾大家去睇一睇。其實佢係從 DNA 嘅層面去解釋人體老化係一樣咩嘢，細胞老化係點樣樣嘅出現嘅咯。播之前咧就俾講翻2樣嘢先啦，因為我自己都睇咗幾次，有啲嘢先至明㗎。咁可能講翻2樣嘢可以幫大家容易啲去明白。咁第一樣嘢咧就係佢裏邊講好多中文字幕裏邊咧係會講好多 DNA 基因表現咁樣，其實係咩嚟嘅咧？佢講緊咧就係即係呢一個 lab 咧，佢講緊唔係去改變個基因，我哋係唔主張改變基因嘅。我哋講緊係每個人嗰個 genes 咧，你嗰個基因嗰個排序啊，即係嗰個排列方式咧， 當你老嘅時候咧，同你後生嘅時候個排法係唔同。我哋點樣可以將老盡量令到我哋年老嘅時候個基因排序咧，可以好似後生嘅時候個排法一樣咁整齊咁靚仔，咁我哋就會有一個自我修復機能咧，可以幫我哋自己去 overcome 好多有機會嘅疾病啦。譬如而家武漢肺炎，我哋第日又唔知道遲啲會有啲咩類型嘅病毒咁樣。如果你自己個自身個 genes 個排序係靚仔啲嘅話咧，其實咧就可以幫到我哋個抵抗力係好好多咯。咁呢個就係講緊嗰個 DNA 排序啦。另一樣嘢咧就提翻啦，因為呢一條片其實我第一次睇嘅時候已經係好幾年前㗎啦，咁而佢呢個研究咧，即係呢條片裏邊所做嘅研究係喺1989年嘅時候已經開始做呢個研究，咁所以講緊咧而家個科技咧就更加多實證去證明老化咧係要從細胞嘅 DNA 層面出發咯，咁所以大家可以參考下咯。咁另外咧，我都有一個長版㗎，如果大家有興趣，但係就真係比較長咯，成45分鐘。如果大家有興趣繼續去了解咧，咁我會擺埋落去我條 link 度，咁大家就可以去睇下咯。咁係啦，今日就係我想分享嘅嘢，咁希望大家有興趣睇啦。拜拜。
We're on the cusp of unleashing long-hidden secrets buried deep in our DNA. This is the ultimate genetic crystal ball.
DNA sequencing, it's a profound game changer.
Visionary technology now promises to end deadly diseases and gives us the key to immortality itself.
We knew that there was a way to intervene with aging at the genetic level.
DNA can absolutely help feed and heal this world across the board.
Spectacular new discoveries are revealing the true power of our genes. This is DNA, the next wave. DNA is the key software in our body that tells us how to grow and function.
All of your genetic material is stored in your DNA, and you have DNA in nearly every cell of your body. If I were to have a lot of DNA in a test tube, and I was to stick a glass rod into that test tube and pull it up, it would look like a really long, clear string.
Through deconstructing the complex strings of DNA codes, we can spot corrupted or mutated chemical letters. These mutations are the cause of many health problems we encounter in the future. Sequencing allows us to predict impending diseases and empowers individuals to adopt profound life changes.
You might actually choose to live your life differently, whether it's how you eat or the preventative care you seek.
Driving this new marvel of technology is the rapidly decreasing price of sequencing. Academic and commercial groups are joining forces to create an affordable way to screen our entire genetic code.
When we sequenced the first human genome, it took 10 years and cost nearly $3.8 billion. Now, you'll be able to sequence a human genome in one day for about $1,000. That difference is what's going to get this type of technology into every doctor's lab in the future.
A global network of people sharing genetic information has started to alter the face of medical research. It's an intriguing concept that's gathering momentum.
Knowing your DNA code and having everybody's DNA code in a database is actually what can really help us. Because at this point in time, there's still so much research that needs to get done. But it could start a revolution where we're all very comfortable sharing it in an anonymous way.
Sequencing could potentially cure billions of people around the world. In the future, our health problems could be mapped out at birth. But is every one of us truly prepared to predict our own future?
We're only scratching the surface of all the knowledge that we're going to obtain by studying the human genome.
As we consider the implications of this new wave of DNA technology, science is tempting us with the promise of another medical breakthrough. Superhuman life. A race to a new genetic frontier has started. Scientists are finding innovative approaches to gene expression profiling.
Gene expression in science is how a gene functions. When you activate a gene, it will make a protein. Gene expression is related to whether that particular gene is activated or inactivated, if you will, to make less protein.
Academic institutions and privately funded labs are harnessing the huge potential of this science.
The human genome is the book of life, and we have finally been able to understand what is written in this book of life.
And these breakthroughs are powering us towards a once impossible goal: identifying the sources of aging.
What we are trying to see now is whether we can actually slow down the aging process in such a way so that these age-related diseases don't happen early on. We are trying to delay the onset of these diseases as much as possible.
Meet Dr. Joseph Chang. As a chief scientist of a privately funded lab, he's dedicated his life to nutritional intervention for the war on aging.
I experienced in my lifetime the death of my father about 3 years ago. He never had a good quality of life for 10 years before his death. And I began to wonder, can a person maintain an optimal quality of life throughout his or her lifespan?
In these commercial labs, Dr. Chang is searching for a way his company can restore our bodies to a more youthful setting.
Through our scientific studies and to our research, we are beginning to understand there are certain groups of genes that are very important in aging. Instead of just talking about groups of genes, we thought by coining a term such as youth gene clusters, it would give a better definition of what we're trying to do in our research.
Within the clusters, he is looking for genes that regulate aging.
If you somehow change the gene expression profile of youth gene clusters, it has either a positive or a negative impact on biological aging.
He becomes interested in youth gene clusters related to mitochondria, tiny structures in our cells. These are miniature motors that fuel our bodies, maintaining our energy levels from cradle to grave.
Yeah, the mitochondria, like the battery, does drain over time. If we don't recharge the mitochondria battery, we won't have the energy needed to run the cell. And if the mitochondria doesn't function optimally, then these early signs of aging begin to appear.
Advancements in science enable Dr. Chang to probe at DNA's frontier. He's trying to restore mitochondrial function using gene expression technology.
So when we talk about resetting, we're not talking about structurally changing these genes. We are really resetting the activity or the gene expression profile of age-related genes. We're beginning to understand there is a certain gene expression profile that exists when you were in a very youthful state. But as you age over time, that gene expression profile changes. We want to make sure that a gene expression profile stays as close as possible to what you had when you were a 20-year-old.
On the other side of the world, partnering with Dr. Chang at a sister lab, is Dr. Josh Zhu. He's using his knowledge of the natural world to battle aging with the most unusual of ingredients: the the scientist believes that he is getting close to discovering the key to resetting mitochondrial gene expression with the help of a fungus called Cordyceps sinensis.
Cordyceps sinensis is a fungal product, a natural product. It's just similar to any kind of a mushroom.
But this is no ordinary fungus. In the wild, it grows on the heads of live caterpillars from a range of remote mountains in Tibet. After years of correctly formulating the right blend through a fermentation process, Dr. Zhu is ready to take Cordyceps sinensis out of the lab and begin observational studies to discover its true power. His studies have found that after taking Cordyceps sinensis, their exercise performance capability improved.
Cordyceps sinensis shortened recovery period and improved cardiovascular function.
Cordyceps sinensis drastically heightens endurance and energy metabolism and fights fatigue. The results indicate that Cordyceps sinensis could potentially counteract the strains of daily life that lead to aging.
We can see a Cordyceps sinensis not really just extend the lifespan, but healthy lifespan. We proved Cordyceps sinensis is really anti-aging herb.
Dr. Zhu's Cordyceps sinensis research is added to other blended ingredients to create Dr. Chang's anti-aging compound.
This is the first time ever where some of these natural ingredients, by using modern scientific methods, to demonstrate that it can actually extend lifespan.
Scientific experiments at academic and commercial labs show that our genes do not control our fate.
Our research is beginning to reveal the reality that the aging process is most likely a symphony that is being played in the body. And in order to play that symphony extremely well, you need an orchestra of genes being somewhat cooperating with each other to make sure that the aging symphony doesn't get out of tune.
Gene expression technology is revealing a path to healthier lives for all of us. But there is a catch. With the world swelling to over 7 billion people and many developing severe conditions in their later years, 2 experts are turning to mankind's closest relatives. And helping them is a tiny technological invention. In the next few decades, the world's aging population will increase like never before. It's a high-risk game with everything to play for. Can the aging process be improved? In private research labs, scientists are now working at the frontier of DNA age research. Dr. Richard Weindruck and Dr. Thomas Prola are using advances in gene expression profiling to discover how nutrients affect aging at a genetic level.
There is not a lot of difference from the control, so I would be surprised if there's much of an aging.
Dietary restriction has been demonstrated to produce a change in gene expression in a variety of species. When food is scarce, our bodies concentrate on conservation and become more efficient. Dr. Weindruck believes that the key to aging well lies directly in what we eat.
Caloric restriction seems to be the most potent dietary intervention to slow not only aging, but really in the quality of life.
Dr. Weindruck wants to conduct a long-term study on the effects of caloric restriction on gene expression in humans. But time's not on his side. This experiment would literally take a lifetime. His next best option is our cousin species with whom we share a similar genetic makeup: monkeys. In 1989, 76 healthy rhesus monkeys were divided into 2 groups. One group was allowed to eat freely, while the other was put on a ration diet. The results of his research have been published in prestigious scientific journals.
We gradually restricted the ones assigned to the caloric restriction group by 10% of the caloric intake for the first month, another 10% for the second month, and the third month began the final level of a 30% lowering of calorie intake.
This scientific research was without guarantee of any significant results. But Dr. Weindruck persisted.
Rhesus monkeys can live up to 40 years. That's a long, long time to wait to get a result for an experiment.
But Dr. Weindruck and his team were determined to better understand the benefits of caloric restriction. Over the years, they monitored the monkeys and reviewed changes in health and signs of aging. After 2 decades of research, the results are stunning. The diet-controlled monkeys are healthier and living up to 20% longer. Results show that the caloric-restricted monkeys have an astonishing 3-fold decrease in age-related diseases. It's through gene expression profiling that scientists can determine how caloric restriction has improved the primate's aging.
The effects of caloric restriction are clearly dramatic. Finding that these effects occur in primates and therefore most likely also occur in humans is really a major breakthrough.
But there is a big obstacle. Because the research on monkeys takes so long, Dr. Prola and Dr. Weindruck decide to simultaneously work on gene expression in mice. This allows them to conduct more studies in a relatively shorter period of time. Dedicating decades of research work to a single experiment has been daunting, but now an even bigger challenge lies before them.
When you think about the fact that we use a large number of animals, these numbers quickly add up to hundreds of millions of data points.
The results are gathered together to create one of the world's largest aging and caloric restriction gene expression databases. With millions of genetic data points, a solution to accessing all this information is found in a single powerful database that employs cutting-edge gene chip technology. A powerful new tool in gene expression profiling. Each chip contains all 20,000 plus genes in the mouse genome. This database allows scientists to interpret their findings on a global scale.
The gene chip technology is basically a way to monitor the expression of thousands of genes at once.
This was the first study to use gene chips to study aging. This new technology provided a global view of gene expression activity.
I think without the existence or the development of gene chip technology, we will not have tools to even begin to understand what all the genes do inside our body.
They're searching for nutrients that imitate the positive effects of caloric restriction, but without restricting calories. One compound that's proving to be successful in trials is a substance found in red wine, known as resveratrol.
What we're trying to do at LifeGen is to identify nutrients that have this ability of caloric restriction to change the activity of genes in a way that will slow down the aging process. So individual nutrients may have on their own mild effects, but when combined, we hope to find mixtures of nutrients that are going to have a much stronger effect.
I like to think that one day all of us can actually die healthy.
In addition to companies using DNA gene expression profiling to solve nutritional problems, technology is riding a wave of new genetic applications led by sequencing, which is changing the way we look at ourselves and the world around us. There's still so much more to uncover. Scientists have only just begun to rediscover that parts of our DNA once deemed junk, or not containing instructions for proteins, may actually hold key clues to how cells, tissues, and organs behave. The frontiers of genetic science could be rewritten. But for now, through genetic mapping, we are opening up a safer world where we can live healthier lives and cure illnesses that were once deadly.
DNA sequencing is being used to solve real-world problems today.
As we map out our future, we are now discovering genes do not govern our fate. The future is DNA.